of double colons throughout the whole thing. So you
Gotcha.
have to choose the longest consecutive zeros to use it, because everything else is, you're just going to remove the leading zeros.
Got you. Okay. All right.
Okay. So
I
this
think I'm
one is
ready to
where,
take the test.
go ahead, huh?
I was saying, I think I'm ready to take the test.
This one, it gets fun too. This is where it gets really fun, because they only taught you compression in Coursera. They didn't really teach you how to expand. But I think expanding will help you learn how to read it a lot better. So how many quartets does an does an IPv6 address have?
Okay.
Yep. How many sets of 4?
Yeah, what? Damn.
Or
I don't want to just throw a number out there. I did learn that. But,
It is in front of you, above.
oh, 1, 2, was it 3?
No. It has 8 sets of 4, 32 bits. So when you're building the IP address, when you're uncompressing it, expanding it, you have to make sure that you have 8 sets of 4. So knowing what we know about shorthand, let's start from the beginning. FD00 looks right. There's 4 numbers in there, colon, we're good. So what do you assume when we have a just 1 0 in between 2 colons? Does anybody know? What numbers would go? What other numbers would go in to make that quartet whole?
Mm.
Zero?
How many zeros?
3.
3?
Yep.
Here we all said 3.
Third quartet looks good. And you see we have a repeat offender here. We can just put in 3. Okay, so this
You
one
said
has
repeat.
2 numbers. So what do you think we fill in to make it whole?
2 zeros.
Very good. All right, so now you see we have the double colon. What does that mean?
There's a lot more zeros. 4 cards.
Yes, it means that the rest of the numbers are zeros. But how many zeros? How do we tell that?
Let's see. 16. Did I do it?
Nope.
1, 2.
Not
Nope.
16.
Oh,
Huh?
well,
Yes, 12. You see we already have 5 quartets.
Oh, my bad. I counted 4.
Yeah, the colons are weird. You can miss them very easily. But we have 5 quartets, so we need to make it 8.
Yeah, so 12.
Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. All right, on to the next. On to the last one. And this site is cool. These are actually fairly simple ones. They give you a lot of trick ones on this one too if you keep taking it multiple times. Like really good practice for the the trickier ones that could trip you up during a test. So I'd recommend doing a couple of practice runs here. All right. So first quartet looks good. All right. Nothing too much different from what we were doing before. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The fourth one looks good. Okay, we're gonna skip over because I think it confuses us. Let's make sure we got all our quartets lined up that are available. All right, so you see we got 100 right after?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do we do there? 3 digits. Where does the fourth one go?
In front of this one.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total octets. How many zeros is that in the middle? Is the double colon representing?
8.
8.
Very good. All right. Does anybody have any corrections they want to make? Anything that they saw that they think is wrong?
Nope.
All right, here we go. All right, 4 out of 4.
Yay.
Does everybody get it? Do you want me to go through another set or?
Can we try another set?
Huh?
Can we try another set?
Sure. Let me see. All right. Is everybody following what I'm doing?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I got a quick question.
Go ahead.
So remove any leading zeros except don't remove the zero if it's a part of the what's that, quartet, whatever it's called.
Yeah. In this sense, see, because it doesn't qualify for the double colon, right? You can only remove
Right.
the leading zeros, but you have to keep one of the zeros in the in the visible. You can't get rid of all 4 zeros.
Right, because something's got to be there because of the. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think they're giving us some very boring ones. The first couple of ones that I did were like mind benders. They're
Hey, to
giving,
pass the test, this is fine for me.
huh? Oh yeah, this
I
should
said,
pass the. This should definitely pass the test. Mhm. But yeah, they want for. This is one of the things. This is one of the bigger issues I've had with Coursera in this particular topic. For something that ended up being like an entire graded test, they didn't spend a lot of time talking about it. They literally just glossed over the rules, and you had to spend precious test time going back and actually redoing the course. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just
right. Mm-hmm.
yeah. They didn't execute that very well. All right, so this one's expansion. What do you think goes here?
3 zeros.
That one looks good. What goes here in this quartet?
0 in front of the 2.
Very good. All right. We see a double colon, but we're going to skip over that and fill out the rest so it's not as confusing. All right. 0 in front of the C. 0 in front of the 2. So how many octets do we have complete?
5, 6.
6. So that leaves us 2 octets of zeros. 8
I'm
zeros.
blind.
Okay. This one looks a little fun because it's so tiny.
You know, in a really weird way, this is kind of cool. I don't know why.
Because it's actually very simple. Like once you know the rules, you know what I'm saying. Coursera just left you hanging on that one, so it wasn't as fun. All right. So,
Three zeros in front of the 2,
right.
right?
What about the E?
One in front of the E and then 2 after it? No.
Yeah, how do you get that?
What do you mean?
Well, we don't put
How do I-
numbers after because we're only allowed to remove the leading zeros.
Oh, you're right. Okay. Fine.
So,
3
you see in the
zeros
example
in
above,
front of
it
it.
kept the zeros. It kept the zeros in the shorthand.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 zeros would be right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many quartets does that give us?
3.
Very good.
2. Oh,
So,
yeah,
how
3.
many quartets is this colon representing?
5.
Correct. Which is how many zeros?
Twin.
All right. Hope I get that one right. There we go. Great job, everybody. Right. Gonna stop it right here. All right. Did that make it a little bit clear? Does everybody think they got a good grasp on that?
Yeah.
I think it's one of those topics that is actually very simple.
Brandon, did you run into the use case on Coursera when you have 2 sequences of zeros quartets, like the second and third quartet, then fifth, sixth, or seventh quartets? What do you do in this case?
Okay. Well, you can only use the double colon feature once per address. So what you want to do is target the longest string of zeros, the longest string of quartets full of zeros, and use it for that. If you have 2 equal lengths, if you have 2 equal lengths of zeros, you want to use the first one. Use it on the first one, and then just use the remove leading zeros trick for the rest.
Will you repeat that?
Okay. When you have 2 separate groups of consecutive zeros,
Mm-hmm.
let's say you have the second and third quartet are all zeros, and then for this example, let's say the fifth and sixth quartet are all zeros. You can only use the double colon trick once. So because they're
Okay.
equal lengths, you want to use it on the first set. So you want to use that use the double colon in the second and third quartet. And then in the fifth and sixth quartet, you just want to remove the leading zeros, the 3 zeros from each one. And that's how you would shorten that IP address. Now, if you had, I'll give everybody a second.
1 second.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, if you had all zeros in the second and third quartet, and then you had all zeros in the fifth, sixth, and seventh quartet, you want to use the double colon technique on the longest string of zeros, which would be the fifth, sixth, and seventh. So you'd want to use that technique there and then remove the leading zeros from the second and third. And that's how you would properly compress that IPv6 address in that instance.
Okay.
That's only if the last 3 quartets are all leading zeros.
All zeros, yes. So if it connects to zeros in another
as
quartet,
opposed to if
sorry,
you 2 at the end.
what?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. The double colon rule is only for quartets full of zeros. If there are zeros in another quartet that aren't all zeros, but they connect to the number, they don't count. They're part of a whole number. So you don't remove them at all. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So basically you want to use the double colon technique on the longest string of quartets with all zeros. And if you have 2 equally long quartets of all zeros, you want to use it on the first one.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
No, but just got it.
All right.
Does anyone wants to do this test and share a screen?
You
Just to
mean
make
like a
sure.
pressing test?
Yes. Josiah, do you want to do that?
Do I want you to steal my answers? Hell no.
You will
Don't
pass
be
the
stingy
test.
with it, Josiah. I'm playing.
You can pass the test.
I don't know if Josiah's hooked up to do that though.
Well, you